Saudi Arabia and custodian of the two holy mosques to perform the Umrah, which is the lesser pilgrimage in the kingdom. To this effect, the president, accompanied by close personal aides, will embark on the journey on Thursday, 16th May. He's expected back in the country on Tuesday, 21st of May. Umrah is an optional but recommended pilgrimage to Mecca that can be made at any time of the year. And the federal government has strongly decried what it calls the increasing unpatriotic and desperate opposition politics being played by the PDP and its presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, while briefing journalists on the disturbing trend, warns that such dead-end opposition could be toxic for the nation's democracy if left unchecked. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports.
Alhaji Lai Mohammed says never in the history of politics in Nigeria has an opposition party exhibited the kind of desperate tactics being deployed by the PDP and its flag bearer since losing the 2019 presidential election to President Muhammadu Buhari and the governing APC.
Either by themselves or via their proxies, the PDP and its presidential candidate are doing everything possible to sabotage the Buhari administration, generally overheat the polity, and make Nigeria seemingly ungovernable, especially through their public utterances and their poorly thought out press releases.
The minister said for those who may be quick to accuse the government of crying wolf, the pre-election statement credited to the former vice president suggesting that unless Nigerians vote out the governing APC, killings by herdsmen will continue and ultimately spark a series of ethno-religious crises that will be irreversible is looking more like a Freudian slip than anything else.
Also, in recent times, the PDP has taken its desperation to a new low by attacking the judiciary, an action many see as indicating a reversal of the party's hitherto self-assured stance that it has a solid case against the election of the president. And either by coincidence or orchestration, a faceless group emerges from nowhere calling for an overthrow of a democratically elected government, a totally egregious act of treason.
He said for acclaimed Democrats, there are acceptable channels of seeking redress after an election defeat rather than allowing desperation to becloud their sense of propriety to the extent of associating with anti-democratic forces.
Even President Muhammadu Buhari himself went to court 3 times to challenge election results. What is not acceptable is to either resort to self-help after an election defeat or to embark on a journey of subterfuge and sabotage while also mounting a legal challenge or pretending to do so. Worse still, painting the judiciary bad for whatever reason is anti-democratic and unconscionable.
Alhaji Lai Mohammed urges the main opposition party to, amongst others, desist from overheating the polity and stop beating the drums of war, but concentrate on the legal challenge by its candidate against the election of President Muhammadu Buhari, if indeed they have any faith in the country's judiciary. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And talking legislature now, the Senate has advised the federal government to declare emergency on unemployment in Nigeria. This followed a motion by Senator Chukwuka Utazi, which highlighted the huge gap between the haves and have-nots, which appears to be responsible for deviant behavior in parts of the country. Ignatius Unkwo tells us more.
Well, more than 11 senators spent close to 2 hours debating this motion. as senators highlighted some of the experiences and some of the sordid pictures of some Nigerians who actually are unemployed. And then there are a lot of recommendations and contributions. And then basically the motion also called for an increase in the percentage of funds for the education sector. In fact, the motion calls for 26% of annual budget to be injected into the education sector, as well as urging the federal government to locate factories in each local government in Nigeria to be able to create more employment opportunities. Yes, with us here is a Deputy Minority Leader, Emmanuel Bwacha.
This will be different because it captures succinctly the mood of the nation. We are not ruling out criminality, but a larger segment of this security challenge is born out of the common experience that unemployment has generated in this nation. Yes.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right. We are here. We still have another senator, Senator Jibrin Barau.
To me, I think what needs to be done is to create the enable environment for the agricultural sector to thrive, for the industrial sector, the risk sector to also thrive, so that employment can be generated and the youth will be employed.
Yeah, very much. Thank you. All right. Well, some of the senators also called for the establishment of unemployment trust fund.
And still on legislative matters, the House of Representatives has passed a bill amending the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Act. Lami Ali has details of this and more from the House of Representatives.
To provide for quick recovery procedures for stolen assets.
The amendments, as highlighted in the bill, would make the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, more independent and effective in enforcement drive, more active in pursuit of cases, and equally build the capacity of personnel. The Act also seeks to ensure that the Commission is adequately funded, as well as improve its relations with foreign counterparts to build trust and enhance cooperation.
The question is that the bill be now read a third time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it.
In the meantime, the lawmakers have passed an act to establish the Nigeria Police Trust Fund, while the report submitted by the Chairman House Committee on Pensions, Representative Hassan Adamu Shekaro, on a bill for an act to establish the Defense Intelligence Agency Pensions Board was considered and adopted. The Chairman House Committee on Agricultural Production and Services, Mohammed Tahir Mungunu, also laid before the House a report on a bill to prohibit the killing and exportation of donkeys out of Nigeria in order to preserve the animal. The House, at the Committee of the Whole, made amendments to and adopted the report on a bill which seeks to eradicate age discrimination against job seekers in federal government agencies. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And moving on, the Air Task Force of Operation Diram Mikia, together with troops of the recently established 271 NAV Detachment Brain Inquiry, have facilitated the release of 15 kidnapped victims in the area. According to a press release signed by NAV Director, Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Ibikunle Daramola, the airstrikes were conducted following intelligence reports indicating that armed bandits were camped within the Kamuku Forest area, crossing Breningwari local government area of Kaduna State and Sabuwa local government area of Katsina State. 12 bandits were neutralized in the operation, leading the kidnapped victims to escape to various locations within Breningwari. And the Nigerian Army has issued a 3-month marching order to the Theatre Command, Operation Lafia Dole in Maiduguri, to collaborate with the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency to ensure immunization of children in remote areas in Borno State. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports that the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tuku Buratai, gave the directive while receiving the Director General in Maiduguri, Borno State.
Borno State in northeast Nigeria, with vast ungoverned space, have suffered Boko Haram attacks for about 9 years. This trend has retired socioeconomic activities, making some remote areas in the war-torn state inaccessible. Consequently, those trapped in such areas don't have access to basic services. The military is, however, changing the narrative, and the Primary Healthcare Development Agency is taking advantage to further have access to 2,622 communities in such remote places. Children in these areas must be reached and immunized within 6-month benchmark for Nigeria to be possibly certified polio-free by the World Health Organization.
With your recommendations, we very much understood this. Be rest assured we will continue to support the agency to assess those areas that are inaccessible actually before the rains start.
Even in the most difficult terrains, the Nigerian Army has been shoulder to shoulder with us in the trenches to ensure that all children get the vaccines that they need. As a result of this collaboration, we are now some 6 months away from being declared polio-free.
Provision of security to some government and non-governmental organizations is part of the non-kinetic efforts of the military in the ongoing counter-insurgency operations. From the headquarters Operation Lafia Dole in Maiduguri, Borno State, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Meanwhile, men of the 6th Division Nigerian Army in Port Harcourt have handed over 3 kidnapped suspects to the Special Anti-Robbery Squad unit of the Nigerian Police for further investigation and prosecution. Osinachi Abraham reports that a female victim was rescued during the encounter with the suspects.
The suspects, Uche Ibieri, 21, Chile Wolo, 36, and Destiny Kemka, 21, were allegedly linked to recent kidnapping, armed robbery, and court-related violence in Emoha axis of the East-West Road. The suspects, who are all indigenous of Emoha local government area, confessed to the kidnap of a young mother of 1 in her room at Rumekini.
We have 6 in number. They have all escaped.
So which group do you belong to?
We are in Iceland.
The survivor, named Withheld, while narrating her ordeal in captivity, said the suspects collected her ATM and withdrew 118,000 naira, demanded a ransom of 3 million naira minimum, in addition to her salary that was transferred to their account before she managed to escape.
Later on in that afternoon, I stood there, I laid there, I cried. Even if I had shouted, I wouldn't have received help because it was indeed a bush. I didn't know where we were.
We had put modalities in place. We post people and trying our best to see that we capture. You see the way we manage our men, accosted them and bring them to book.
In Port Harcourt, Osinachi Abraham, NTA News.
The Buhari Media Organization, BMO, says President Muhammadu Buhari has not abandoned Leah Sharibu and will not relent in his efforts to ensure that she and others in captivity regain their freedom. The group, in a statement, described as disheartening that some people are giving the impression that the president was not concerned that Leah remains in captivity 420 days after her schoolmates were released by their captors. BMO urged Nigerians and concerned members of the international community to exercise a little more patience and allow the Buhari administration to complete what it has been working on since the Dapchi abduction. And moving on, Nigeria is currently the world's largest producer of cassava, but the huge cassava production in the country may be wasted if not effectively processed and utilized. Well, this is why the federal government is establishing a cassava processing plant in the Niger Delta region to add value to agricultural commodities, enhance the capacity of farmers, and sustain food security. Joseph Johnson tells us more.
The traditional way of processing cassava is unhygienic, labor-intensive and time-consuming, with a resulting low production output and, of course, a lot of wastages. All these necessitate the need for modern cassava processing cottage industries in the Niger Delta states, and I feel that community in Akwa Ibom is a beneficiary, having been chosen to host one of the facilities being put in place by the federal government. Already, Regina Edet and her counterparts are putting it into effective use. She says the plant has spurred her to cultivate more cassava and that she is ready to engage more hands for increased income.
I'm so happy now because we have been suffering for many years, but for now government are giving us very good thing.
The mood here is that of celebration and satisfaction. For them, this project will indeed economically change their livelihoods for the better.
And there are no more violent and all people will be engaged.
The intention is to occupy the people, create occupation for them, and also create a linkage in terms of sector productivity.
Meanwhile, the minister also inaugurated 7 units staff quarters at Community Secondary School, Ikoruko, a Senodum local government area. In Cross River State, Osani inaugurated the rehabilitation of Atimbo Akbabuya Road, sections 1 and 2, and health center at Old Asiga Town, Yako local government area. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA International, reaching you from Abuja. Stay tuned for more news after the break.
NTA International News. Africa as it is.
Many thanks for staying tuned. And on financial happenings, Musa Baba Aliu is our guide.
The National Bureau of Statistics says Nigeria's consumer price index, which measures inflation, increased by 11.37% year-on-year in April 2019. The increase is 0.12% points higher than the rate recorded in March 2019. The figure also shows that composite food index rose by 13.70% in April compared to 13.45% in March 2019. In the meantime, Nigeria has suspended the yam export initiative under the diversification program. And Yam Farmers, Marketers and Processors Association says it has suspended yam export until the law prohibiting the business is amended.
And, we are law-abiding citizens, and we just have to be very, very careful, even though the policy allow us to do what we are doing. But as long as that law is there, there are many people who want to come into that space who are scared.
And South Africa is to speed up economic reforms to revive the ailing economy and attract foreign investors. President Cyril Ramaphosa told investors in Johannesburg that his administration will embark on an economic recovery stimulus package. South Africa's economy grew an estimated 0.8% in 2018 after recovering from recession.
If there is one silver bullet on earth for the development of Africa, it is keeping children, especially girls, in school. In sub-Saharan Africa, 75% of girls start school, but less than 9% of them complete school. Well, this is according to Human Rights Watch. And this formed the thrust of a workshop on mobilizing Nigerian youths for increased access to safe and quality education for all. Olayinka Ojo reports that the training is at the instance of the National Commission for Mass Literacy, Adult and Non-Formal Education in collaboration with the United Nations Educational Fund.
Research by Human Rights Watch shows that 49 million girls are out of school in sub-Saharan Africa and 31 million will never make it to secondary school. Although this trend is changing, and in a bid to provide a lasting solution through a structured process of advocacy on increasing access to safe and quality education for all, especially girls, As well as hold policymakers accountable, these young education champions drawn from 14 states of the Federation converged on Kano.
We want to start by working on their conscience to realize the need for everybody to stand up and prioritize education on the table of governance.
Having realized the importance of education for the girl child, Shafatu today spends 14 hours every week teaching children in Zamfara State. Beyond building commitment and active citizens' participation, experts in their presentations said countries that invest in the education of girls have more than 175% return on investment.
Deal with specific issues of low budgetary allocation, to deal with specific issue of poor infrastructure, to deal with specific issues of the relevance of the education curriculum.
At the end of the workshop, the participants are expected to also build the capacity of between 100 and 150 youths in their different states. Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
It is generally accepted that the family unit, which is the smallest component of the society, is the most important in shaping the society. Well, that explains why families strive to inculcate moral values and norms to breed good members of the society. Perhaps it is with this in mind that the United Nations chose a day to be marked as World Family Day. Leah Sharibu reports on the origin and significance of the day.
Families all over the world have transformed greatly over the past decades in terms of their structure and as a result of global trends and demographic changes. The celebration of the International Family Day, which started in 1995, provides an opportunity for people to reflect on the importance of families, societies, and cultures around the world.
Organization or human race, as the case may be, because without a family, the world cannot be the same.
Family means, number one, love, a place where people love each other in truth and in spirit.
The International Day of Families provides an opportunity to promote awareness on issues relating to families and to increase knowledge of the social, economic, and demographic processes affecting them, as well as values for a peaceful, loving, and stable society.
It means a lot to me, because in everything you do, you put your family first.
However, the values are gradually fading off, going by the spate of crimes and criminality in the society. Where did we miss it?
Family should be very careful in such a way that if anything happens to anyone, that name is very important, because quote and unquote, if Mr. A is from Mr. A's family and you do good, the glory of that doing good will be going to your family.
The only way to bring family back to restore family back, value back, is by parents training their children in the way of the law.
The theme for this year's celebration is Families and Climate Action, focus on SDG 13. In Abuja, Leah Sharibu, NTA News.
And up next is a sports update with Amanzi Marcus.
This is the velodrome of the Abuja National Stadium, venue of the National Handball Premier League, where a total of 111 matches are to be decided, out of which 15 have so far been played.
The good promised by the present board led by Samuel Cheho is here, and things are working out fine.
Super Eagles captain John Mikel Obi has staged a return to the team with his inclusion in a 25-man list to camp for the 32nd AFCON in Egypt. Mikel, who captained the team at the 2018 FIFA World Cup Russia, has not been with the Super Eagles since Nigeria's 2-1 defeat to Argentina at the Mundial. Ahmed Musa and Kenneth Omero are also in the provisional squad released by the Super Eagles coach Gennett Rowe, and the camp opens on the 2nd of June in Asaba Delta State, ahead of a friendly with the Warriors of Zimbabwe on the 8th of June. After Tuesday's 2-0 win over Mali, Nigeria's Super Falcons are now focused on Thursday's semi-final clash against the Black Queens of Ghana at the WAFU B Women's Tournament in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. The African champions top Group B with 22 goals and 9 points from 3 matches, with Uchenna Kanu scoring 9. With Sports Update, Amanzi Marcus, NTA News.
And that wraps up our news bulletin on NTA International. I am Ogwa Vivian Unyidibre. Thanks for watching.